Did you know that 48% of projects don't finish on time because of unrealistic timelines, unclear expectations, and poor time management? That's according to research that was carried out by the Project Management Institute. And I absolutely don't doubt it for 1 second, because I have definitely been part of that 48%. I like to start with a stat. I'm Richard. Thank you very much for inviting me here to speak. I always try to answer requests from help from the team here at the university, because Stirling did so much for me when I was a student here, and I had such an amazing experience, and it's always great to be back to share some of what I've learned since I've left. And I've been asked to talk to you about the skills you would need in managing projects, how you might manage multiple pieces of work, and keep to deadlines, hence the fascinating stat to start with. But first, a little bit of context, a little bit about me. As I say, I studied here at Stirling. I did history and politics, and I had an amazing 4 years at Stirling, and actually my first role came about through my time at Stirling. I was elected as the Vice President of the Student Union, a year-long post, which was all about managing multiple projects and having a huge manifesto of commitments, some of them realistic and some of them less so, and only a year in which to get them all done. I have also worked in a whole range of different places. My professional background is actually very close to Brooks. I work in politics, public affairs, policy, development, lobbying, campaigning. Public affairs is my principal experience, skill, and profession, and I've done that in lots of different roles. I've worked at the Home Office, I've worked for the NHS, I have worked in consultancy, so working for multiple different clients that ranged from Marks and Spencer's to Scottish Ferry Companies to the Royal Highland Show, which is out by the Edinburgh Airport, doing a whole range of different activities and services for them, from running short, focused public lobbying campaigns, getting politicians to do what we want them to do, to reputation management, to supporting stakeholder engagement and getting politicians to change policy and the law. This was a highly pressurized role, as I'm sure you can imagine. Every client that I had huge demands of me, huge expectations, and of course so did my firm, who of course were looking to bill all these clients. So the ability to manage each client, to prioritize work and activities, to meet deadlines was absolutely business critical. Missing deadlines or poor work usually ended up with the firm being sacked by the client, but of course success was always hugely rewarding too. However, mostly, and I think my photo there has covered some of my slide, but that doesn't really matter too much. Mostly I've worked for charities. I'm passionate about the work that charities do. I am passionate about social justice, and I'm passionate about improving the lives of people who are more vulnerable and have less of an advantage than I do. So working in charities has been primarily where I've spent my career, and I'm currently the director of a charity that supports unpaid carers, where I lead the charity's operations and activity in both Scotland and Northern Ireland. So working across 2 nations, multiple projects, services and teams is really a huge test of project management skills, not to mention leadership skills. So what skills do you need for managing projects, and how do you manage multiple pieces of work and keep to deadlines? Well, it's certainly not this. The idea, I don't know if you have a chance to read that, but people getting thrust a piece of work and told instantly you must do it now, and you've got no resources, and I'm not going to tell you much about the scope. All of those things sadly happen quite a lot, and I've experienced them quite a bit during my career. I actually don't think there are many secrets to what skills you do need, and I'm sure the list I'm about to show you includes terms and words that you are going to be all very familiar with, or at least you should know what they are if you haven't quite yet practiced them during your study commitments. So, have a clear goal. Every project must have a clear outcome to work towards. Understanding this can help every aspect of your work. When managing a project, it's the first thing to establish. Obviously, early in your careers, you may not be responsible for establishing or creating projects, but you will be working on them. So understanding that goal and that wider objective and what you're working for is crucial, because it helps you know what your role is in that project and how you work towards that. And then within your aspect of that work, within your part of that project, having your own mini goal is hugely important too, because it will help you work towards it and make sure that your contribution is both effective. Plan, plan, and plan again. This is true whether you're managing a multi-million-pound infrastructure project or working on a simple briefing to support a senior member of staff. Working out exactly what you need, how you're going to do it, the resources you need, and when you need to do it are fundamental to managing a project or work successfully. I think planning becomes even more important when you're managing more than one project at once. Overlapping your plans can help you to prioritize your workload, knowing when different deadlines are, and help you to stay on top of your work. And again, at the start of your career, you may not be leading multiple projects, but you are likely to be working on multiple projects. So understanding your part in each of those projects and planning what is needed from you will be crucial. For me, I've always kept very simple things that are hugely helpful. To-do lists with deadlines. Using my Microsoft Calendar, really simple but crucial, helps me understand where I am and what I need to do when I need to do it by. Making an estimate of time it takes you to do a task. Some of this stuff you gain through experience, some you just have to sort of learn as you go, but that really does help. Knowing how long it takes to do a task and then working backwards can really help you make sure that you deliver on time and manage your workload. I think basically find what works for you and make planning a really key discipline in your career. I think knowing who is doing what, clear responsibilities and where your work fits in with that. Make sure you know what your role is and exactly what is expected of you. Never be afraid to ask questions. Get as much clarity as possible. And I think know the deadline. It almost goes without saying, but you'd be amazed about the amounts of times I come across people that forget it or even ignore it because they're doing something else and they just don't think, oh, that's not a priority. I'll worry about it later. And deadlines are so crucial to allow other aspects of project work to move forward. And even a small delay in one part of a work can have a huge implication on the overall project. I promise you, the more deadlines you make, the more your managers will notice you, especially if the work is good. That's when you'll get recognized, and that will definitely help your careers progress. Time management. All that planning you've done, this is definitely how you make sure you deliver on it. Manage your time, review your work. How long are things taking? If there are risks of delays to work, then make extra time, flag it, get help, try and build in contingency too. It's better to have extra time than to run out of it. And I think one of the things that I've always believed is actually really difficult to do in practice, but it's so important to try. Try not to take on too much. And I know it can be difficult, especially early in a career when the boss is throwing things at you left, right, and center. But if you can be known for getting things done, rather than how much work you have, then your reputation will definitely grow and your career prospects with them. And I think learn from your mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. I am part of that 48% that miss project deadlines. I've missed loads of deadlines. I've actually forgotten deadlines too. I've forgotten things that need to be done on projects because I've been too busy focusing on something else. And actually, on occasions, I've done really bad work. And that's because I've not given it the priority it's needed. I've not given it the time. I've prioritized other things. Everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone learns from them. And every mistake is a chance to learn. So you make less of them in the future, and the quality of your work improves. And I would say it's always important to share that learning with others. Don't hide your mistakes. Talk to other people about them, and talk about your successes. What have you learned from these processes? You'll be amazed how much you can learn from your colleagues and friends and your wider network. So definitely learning from your mistakes is huge. And I think these skills we've been talking about, I think you're probably already doing them. You've been doing them throughout university. You're managing essays. You've got multiple courses that you're doing at the same time, and you're having to work out which bit to do now and which lecture to go to when, and you might have a part-time job. You might actually be a carer as well. You might be caring for somebody at home, or you're doing some volunteering work. So all of that, you're actually doing some of this now. So taking all of that into your careers is crucial. You're not starting from scratch. Use what you've already got. And actually, when it comes to job interviews, make sure you sell that in your job interviews. When you've been asked about your organization skills, your time management skills, talk about what you've already done and really demonstrate that you've got some of these skills already. And the other thing I would say about all of these things, these are all continuous learning skills. You should never stop adding to them and think that you can't add any more. Technology helps and evolves, so use it and keep it up to date. New ideas and new ways of working will emerge all the time. Learn from your colleagues and managers and other people that in your networks, and find out new ways that they do things and different ways. Really soak in as much of the learning as that you can. Read and study. Leadership and management evolves constantly, and there are plenty of people writing about it, whether it's books, blogs, podcasts, sharing their wisdom. I try and create, it doesn't always work, my bad time management, but I try and create a little bit of time in my diary every week to read something new about management and leadership, because it really helps creative juices flowing, gives me a bit more understanding, gives me new things to try with my teams to see if that works, and is a hugely important part of my continuous learning. And I think to finish, I would say that nothing is ever perfect. But if you can find a way to manage multiple pieces of work, keep to deadlines consistently with high quality of work, then whatever you do, wherever you work, I promise you'll be an asset to the organization and your career will thrive and progress. Thank you.